My friend, I'd like to begin today with a story, a very real one. Years ago, I met Eleanor, a 68-year-old woman. She had a slender frame, but her face was sharp, determined. She walked into my clinic one February morning after a minor fall in her backyard. The fall wasn't dramatic, but it left her with a fractured hip. I remember it so clearly. Eleanor looked at me not in pain, but in disbelief, and maybe even a little frustration. She said, "I drink milk every day, and I take calcium, I go for walks every morning, and still, one little slip and my bone breaks." That moment stayed with me. Not just because I felt for her, but because I realized something deeper. So many people over 60 are doing their best to care for their bones. But they're missing something. They believe milk, calcium, and a bit of vitamin D is enough. But bones don't just need bricks. They need someone to guide the bricks to the right place. And that guide is vitamin K2. Now I know, when I mention K2, most people ask me, "Doctor, what's K2? I thought vitamin K was for blood clotting." And you're right, vitamin K1 found in leafy greens helps with clotting. But K2 is a completely different story. K2 is quiet. It's not famous. But it plays a critical silent role in directing calcium, the very thing you've been faithfully supplementing. Let me tell you, over the years, I've seen countless patients who take calcium daily and still suffer fractures. Some even develop calcium buildup in their arteries, leading to high blood pressure, chest pain, and in some cases, stroke. Why? Because without guidance, calcium can end up in the wrong place. Instead of going to your bones, it latches onto your arteries, making them stiff and dangerous. So now, not only are your bones still weak, but your heart is at greater risk too. It sounds ironic, doesn't it? But this is the reality I see all too often. As for Eleanor, once she recovered, I recommended she start taking vitamin K2, specifically the MK7 form. And just a few months later, her bone density improved significantly. She didn't just feel stronger, she said her whole body felt lighter, more at ease. I remember her smile during our follow-up visit. "Doctor, I wish I had known about K2 sooner." My friend, I'm not here to sell you supplements or promote some miracle pill. I'm here because if you're entering or already living life past 60, you deserve to know the full picture. Strong bones don't come from calcium alone. They come from a system that works together, and vitamin K2 is the missing piece. If you've been taking D3, ask yourself, is K2 part of your routine? If you've been told fractures are just part of aging, I want you to remember Eleanor. Because in this video, we're going to explore why weak bones aren't always due to lack of calcium, how K2 can change the game for both your bones and your heart, and how to use K2 safely, effectively, and wisely. Are you ready? Come along with me. It's a small journey, but who knows? It might just be the beginning of a stronger, steadier step forward. Have you noticed this? Once we hit 60, we all seem to get the same advice. Your bones are getting weaker. You should take calcium. So we start our mornings with a chalky white calcium pill. Maybe a warm glass of milk on the side. And we think that should do it. That should keep my bones strong, keep me from falling, help me stand tall. But here's something most people don't realize. Right here in the US, one of the countries with the highest calcium consumption in the world, osteoporosis rates among seniors are still alarmingly high. And the irony, many of those taking calcium daily are also struggling with heart disease, arterial calcification, and high blood pressure. So what's really going on? I once had a patient named Walter. He was 72, took calcium every day religiously, but he ended up with a blocked coronary artery. When I asked him, "Walter, are you taking vitamin K2?" he looked at me confused. "K2, never heard of it, doc. I take D3. But K2, no one's ever mentioned that." Walter isn't alone. So many seniors take calcium and D3. But they don't realize that without K2, calcium can go to all the wrong places. Instead of building bones, it ends up in your arteries, soft tissues, even your kidneys. Here's how I usually explain it to my patients. Think of calcium as cement. Vitamin D3 is the delivery truck that carries it to your body. But without a traffic cop without vitamin K2, that cement gets dumped wherever the truck stops. If you're building a house, cement is good. But if it's poured in the middle of the street instead of the foundation, what do you end up with? Not a home, not a road, just a mess. Now don't get me wrong, calcium isn't the villain, and D3 isn't the problem, but they both need guidance. That's where K2 comes in, especially after 60. When I explain this, many of my patients sigh and say, if only I had known this sooner. But it's never too late to start. In the next part of this video, I'll share with you what exactly vitamin K2 is, how it helps direct calcium where it belongs into your bones, and why without K2, your efforts to protect your bones might actually be doing harm elsewhere. Are you still with me? Let's keep going, because when we understand better, we care better. One pill at a time, one step at a time. My friend, when people hear vitamin K, most immediately think of blood, and they're not wrong. Vitamin K1, found in leafy greens like spinach and broccoli, is essential for helping the blood clot after an injury. It's part of the body's natural defense system. But there's a lesser-known sibling in the vitamin K family. A quiet, often overlooked partner, vitamin K2. And if you've never heard of it before, well, today I'd like to introduce you to this tiny but powerful player. Vitamin K2, or more specifically menaquinone, isn't new. It's been with us all along, but it's long been overshadowed by its more famous brother, K1, and by names we hear far more often, like calcium and vitamin D3. Yet when it comes to bone health and artery health, K2 holds a crucial role, so crucial, in fact, that without it, your body might send calcium in entirely the wrong direction. Here's how I explain it to my older patients. Picture this: your body has calcium moving through it every day. From your meals, your supplements, your milk. Calcium is your building material, absolutely essential for strong bones. But every builder knows having bricks isn't enough. You also need a blueprint, a skilled worker, and someone to make sure everything goes to the right place. Without that guidance, calcium ends up where it shouldn't: your arteries, your joints, even your kidneys. That's where vitamin K2 steps in. K2 doesn't build anything itself, but it activates two essential proteins that tell calcium where to go. Osteocalcin. Produced by your bones, it grabs onto calcium and helps bind it into the bone matrix. But it only works when activated by K2. Matrix GLA protein MGP. This one stands guard at your arteries. It prevents calcium from sticking to artery walls, but again only when activated by K2. Without K2, these proteins stay asleep, and calcium goes wherever it pleases. See the picture. K2 may not be the lead actor, but it's the director behind the scenes. Quiet, unassuming. But without it, the whole system can fall apart. I once told a patient, you can build a house with all the calcium in the world, but without K2, you're building without a map. You won't know where that material is ending up inside you. And here's something else. K2 works hand in hand with vitamin D3, a supplement many seniors already know and trust. D3 helps your body absorb calcium from your gut into your bloodstream. But K2 makes sure that calcium doesn't wander aimlessly. It sends it where it belongs, into your bones and away from your arteries. When taken together, D3 and K2 can increase bone density, reduce fractures, and even protect your heart. Sadly, while D3 has become a star on pharmacy, shelves, K2 remains a mystery to many. But I hope that after today's video, you won't forget this quiet companion, the one that doesn't shout, but always shows up when you need it most. After I talk about the role of vitamin K2, one of the most common questions I get is, Doctor, do I really need to take it? Am I deficient in K2? And I usually respond with a question of my own. What century are you living in? Because if you're living in the 21st century, especially if you're over 60, there's a good chance you're not getting enough K2. Why is that? Because vitamin K2 is rare in the modern diet. You won't find it in leafy greens, fruits, or most grains. K2 exists mainly in fermented foods like natto, a traditional Japanese dish, aged cheeses, organ meats, egg yolks, and butter from grass-fed cows. Now let me ask you, when was the last time you had natto, or a slice of liver, or some grass-fed butter? For many people, especially here in the US, those foods are either unfamiliar or rarely eaten anymore. So who should consider taking vitamin K2? 1. Seniors over 60. Taking calcium or D3. As I've shared before, calcium and D3 are just the beginning. Without K2 to guide them, calcium can accumulate in the wrong places, like arteries, kidneys, or joints. I had a patient, Mr. Howard, 74. He took calcium daily for osteoporosis. But after 5 years, he developed carotid artery narrowing and suffered a mild stroke. When we reviewed his history, I realized he had never been advised to take K2, a small oversight with serious consequences. 2. People with low bone density or past fractures. If your bone scan came back with a low T-score, or if you've had a fracture, K2 should be on your radar. It doesn't just slow bone loss, it helps rebuild bone density by activating osteocalcin. Postmenopausal women are especially vulnerable. Estrogen drops quickly and bones begin thinning silently. Many only realize it after a small fall leads to a broken hip. I often tell my patients, don't wait for the break to start protecting your bones. 3. Those with arterial stiffness. High blood pressure or heart disease. When calcium ends up in your arteries instead of your bones, it causes stiffness, high blood pressure, angina, and even heart failure. Vitamin K2 through the protein MGP clears unwanted calcium from the arteries. I've seen patients improve blood pressure stability after just a few months on K2. 4. People on low-fat diets or long-term acid blockers. K2 is fat-soluble. It needs healthy fats to be absorbed. If you avoid all fats or follow a strict low-fat diet, your absorption is likely poor. And long-term use of proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, for acid reflux can reduce your ability to absorb both K2 and D3. So yes, the list is long. And chances are, you or someone you love may fall into one of these categories. But here's the good news. Supplementing K2 is simple, it's affordable, and you can start today. And if it can help strengthen your bones, protect your arteries, and keep you steady on your feet, then I'd say it's worth it, wouldn't you? When it comes to taking vitamins, one of the questions I get asked the most is, Doctor, how much should I take? Do I need a blood test? And when's the best time to take it for proper absorption? Great questions, and they deserve clear answers. Because the truth is, many people take supplements daily and still feel no difference. Not because they don't need them, but because they're not using them the right way. For vitamin K2, the most studied and recommended dose is between 100 to 200 micrograms mcg per day, especially in the MK7 form. Why MK7? Because K2 comes in several forms, but MK7, menaquinoin 7, stays in the bloodstream longer than the others. That means it has more time to activate the proteins your body needs to direct calcium to the right places. Research shows that MK7 not only supports bone strength, it also helps prevent calcium buildup in arteries, especially when paired with vitamin D3. So if you're over 60 and you're already taking calcium or D3 regularly, here's my recommendation. Take K2 at 100-200 mcg per day in MK7 form. Take it after a meal that includes healthy fats like olive oil, salmon walnuts, or avocado. Stick with it daily for at least 2 to 3 months to begin noticing results. Now you might be wondering, do I need a blood test to see if I'm deficient? The short answer is not really. Blood tests for K2 are not widely available or necessary for most older adults. Why? Because the modern diet doesn't provide enough K2 anyway. So a moderate supplement each day is generally safe. Beneficial and often essential, especially if you're also taking D3 or have heart risk factors. A few important things to keep in mind. Do not take K2 with blood-thinning medications like warfarin unless your doctor says it's okay. K2 can affect blood clotting. If you're taking high-dose D3 over 2,000 IU/day, K2 is almost mandatory to prevent calcium from ending up in the wrong places. Remember, K2 is not a replacement for D3 or calcium. It works alongside them to make your efforts safer and more effective. I remember a patient named Gloria. She was on high-dose D3 for osteoporosis. No one had ever told her about K2. After several years, scans showed calcium was building up in her aorta. We added K2 to her regimen, and just 6 months later she felt lighter, more mobile, and her follow-up scans looked significantly better. You see, the answer isn't always take more. Sometimes it's about taking the right thing in the right way. That little capsule, just 100 ml of K2, might not feel like much, but every day silently it's helping calcium find its proper home, strengthening your bones, softening your arteries, and keeping your next step a little steadier. In the next part, we'll take a look at natural food sources of K2 and how to easily work them into your daily meals, whether you live here in the US or anywhere else. Because sometimes the real strength isn't in the bottle. It's already on the plate in front of you. Not everyone likes taking pills. I get that. Sometimes after 60, you're already juggling enough medications, blood pressure, heart blood sugar. The idea of adding one more supplement, even if it's just a tiny K2 capsule, can feel exhausting. But here's the good news. Vitamin K2 doesn't only come in bottles. It's also found in food, simple, humble foods that, when included in your daily meals, can have a powerful impact on bone and artery health. 1. Natto, the queen of K2. Natto is a traditional Japanese fermented soybean dish, and it's the richest known source of K2. Just one small spoonful can contain over 1,000 mg of K2, that's 5 to 10 times the recommended daily intake. In Japan, especially in long-lived regions like Okinawa, natto is a breakfast staple. Its smell and texture may be unusual at first, but if you're looking for a natural and potent way to boost your K2, this is it. If you're in the US, you can often find natto in Asian grocery stores or health food markets. Try mixing it with a little soy sauce, ginger, and scallions. Sometimes your body just needs a little getting used to, in return for something big. 2. Aged cheese. Delicious and K2 rich. Do you enjoy a slice of Gouda, Edam, or Brie? Good news, aged naturally fermented cheeses are also excellent sources of K2, especially the MK7 form. Just one 30-degree slice can contain 40 to 100 mcg of K2 depending on the type. It's a great option if natto isn't your thing. Look for unpasteurized or raw milk cheeses, as the fermentation process is what produces the K2. Add a few slices to your lunch salad or pair with whole grain bread, and not only are you getting flavor, but you're also nourishing your bones silently, one bite at a time. 3. Free-range egg yolks and organ meats. Remember the warm smell of fried eggs in the morning, or the rich taste of pan-seared chicken liver. Egg yolks, especially from free-range chickens, are a good source of K2, along with vitamins A, D, and healthy fats. Each egg provides around 20 to 30 mg of K2, not huge but meaningful, with regular intake. Chicken liver and beef liver are also rich in K2 iron and B12, all vital for older adults. Even just once or twice a week, these foods can support strong bones, healthy blood, and a sharper mind. 4. Grass-fed. Butter from cows raised on pasture, has a deeper yellow color and contains more MK4, a different form of K2. Though MK4 doesn't last as long in the body as MK7, it's still beneficial. A little butter on toast or a teaspoon for sautéing veggies, not just tasty, but quietly caring for your heart and joints. Daily K2 meal. Ideas: breakfast, boiled eggs, plus a slice of aged cheese. Lunch salad with olive oil, plus cheese, plus sliced egg. Dinner, stir-fried chicken liver with ginger. plus steamed vegetables. Once a week, try natto or take a supplement if fermented foods aren't for you. My friend, vitamin K2 isn't expensive. It's not exotic. And it doesn't make a big scene. It hides in simple meals, things our grandparents probably ate, but that many of us have forgotten in the rush of modern life. So maybe, just maybe, it's time to slow down, return to the basics, and realize that sometimes the real medicine isn't in the bottle. It's already on your plate. We've just walked through a small journey together, but I believe it's one filled with meaning. From the story of Eleanor, the woman who took calcium every day, yet still broke a bone, to the quiet but powerful role of vitamin K2, the friend no one talks about, yet the one that makes sure calcium ends up in the right place, your bones, not your arteries. K2 isn't a miracle. It won't make you younger, and it doesn't replace a healthy lifestyle. But for me, and for the hundreds of older patients I've worked with, it's the missing piece. And without it, even your best efforts can go off course. I once asked a 75-year-old man who walked with a cane, "What scares you most about getting older?" He looked at me and gave a quiet smile. "I'm not afraid of falling. I'm afraid I won't be able to get back up." That answer stopped me cold, and it reminded me, the most valuable thing after 60 isn't to be strong like we were at 30. It's to stay steady, to stay upright with dignity and confidence. So, if you're already taking D3, add K2. If you've ever broken a bone, don't overlook K2. And if this is the first time you're hearing about it, let today be your start. One small capsule, one slice of cheese, one pasture-raised egg. It's not a big change, but it could make a big difference. If you found this video helpful, don't hesitate to share it with someone. A friend who may also be walking through these quiet years of life. Years that may not be loud, but are still deeply meaningful. And if you have a question, please leave a comment below. I read every word like I'm listening to an old friend. Thank you for being here. We can't turn back time, but we can always begin again, starting today.